All right, this is part 2 with Thomas Allen of In Fisherman and Game and Fish. And this one, Oklahoma, you're absolutely hammered. Go home. All right, welcome back, all you Gun Talk hunters. We are in the same studio, in the same positions as you left us last week with Thomas Allen of In Fisherman, Game and Fish, and all those good things. But man, Thomas, welcome in again.
Well,
I
thank
didn't
you.
get enough of you last week, so we
Well,
hung you
we
over.
do this a lot, and you kind of just poke the bear and get me all primed up, and then I go
I,
off on these rants, which
I know but I love it. And here's what I love about it. I love about it because you care and you're passionate about what you do. And what you do is man, you're a turkey slayer, but you're raising an absolute monster. I will tell you that.
two of them.
Yeah, you are raising two of them. And Lord help the guy who comes in to steal your daughter's heart.
So here a little side, a little rabbit trail. So I've always, my buddy Jeremy King, mutual friend of
Uh-huh.
ours, we committed to each other that the day our daughters brought a dude home that we thought was a little sketchy, we would reenact, we would practice, and then we would bring to life that Bad Boys 2 scene.
Oh my
They
gosh.
answer the door when Reggie comes in.
Yeah.
And that's the I have your back that way. I have Jeremy's back
Yep.
that way. But you and I both know that these kids are so, they get so offended by that, or some
Oh yeah.
parent would be like, I can't believe you threatened my kid. Like, well, it's my daughter, but
Yeah.
I'm not going to
Yeah.
need to do that. I've decided that the boy that comes knocking at my door, I'm going to sit him down at the table. I'm going to walk inside and I'm going to put a shovel right on the table. I say, boy, you know what that is? He goes, it's a shovel. I said, what's it for? Digging holes? I'm like, that's right. And I know how to use that.
I've got the weight to push down into hard earth.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Oh
I don't need to
man.
threaten
Well,
violence. I just threaten an end game.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just go straight to the last final step.
Yeah.
Well, all right, let's talk about youth seasons are cranking up, archery seasons are open up all over the place. People have got elk on the ground, and your son's got a doe on the ground. What was he into? Because you and I were just talking like, hey, he needs a rangefinder, and we want to get one up and get one reviewed.
hmm
What that happened really quickly.
It did, and he actually complained at me that night because he stole a battery out of one of my older rangefinders that doesn't work, and it turned on for him. He was able to range the dirt, and it wouldn't work after that. So I said, we'll have to buy some more batteries, but there's something else going on. Side note. But he wanted to go. We had the right conditions. We were having some daylight photos of some deer, especially one big shaggy doe. And as you know, this
Oh,
time of year, you start to see the bottom of your freezer. And
yep.
we were down to like 10 pounds of hamburger, and that was it. And so Catherine's like, my wife is like, son, Tommy, if you get a chance, like, we need the deer meat. And we eat
Yeah.
3 or 4 a year, I'd say. So it's time to restock the freezer.
Yeah.
And this year has been, I'll brag on him. Tommy has grown up a lot this year to where he's become the kind of tournament bass partner that I want to have. I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade him for anybody at this point. He's very good. He notices when I'm spinning out, and he
Refocuses you, doesn't he?
he does. And
Uh-huh.
the same has happened with hunting. In fact, I think you and I talked. I don't know if we did a podcast before or after turkey season this year.
We did.
Okay. Well, quick side note, Tommy had his driver's license last fall, bought a truck, and he went out, found his own turkey, found his own dirt. He knocked on the door himself, got permission, and shot a turkey all on his own. And,
So cool.
bittersweet, but I'm super proud of him. Well, deer hunting has been the same. And he's like, Dad, I want to go. I've got the time. All right. So we're watching everything. And you and I think we traded a text message about
Yep.
finders. And I think the next night he went.
Yeah.
But it was super windy, Kevin. I know in Oklahoma it's always blowing, and the deer expect that, and
Yeah.
their movement is not suppressed
Mhm.
necessarily because of the wind. Where here in Minnesota, you get high winds, and the deer will often sit in their beds until the wind subsides, or they absolutely have to get up.
Yeah.
So it's a factor here, but it was just enough. I said, buddy, if you set up on the downwind side, like your timing is good. There's so much wind, you aren't going to have to shower before you get out there.
Right.
Just get in the right spot. And trying to think what I was doing. Oh, we were having dinner with a friend, Catherine and I was just talking to them. I'm like, Tommy could call any minute. And I no more than got those words out my mouth and my phone lit up. He's like, Dad, I got her. She's down. I watched her go down. I'm like, God, so
That's
good to
all.
hear. So
And oh
he
my gosh.
now he's killed one deer with his bow, but it was a bit of a hot mess. That's a long story for another day.
Yeah.
Jeremy was also involved in that hunt. But this was his first successful solo bow hunt. And he took a tethered saddle out. So he, kind of takes a low impact approach, climbs a tree, sits in a saddle. He practices all summer. Like he's a monster,
Yeah.
just like you said. But it was a big moment for him, but even bigger for me to see him bring all that together, be successful. Mom in the back of his mind reminding him that we need meat, and he came.
And he
So
got it done.
got it done.
All right. Hey, this episode is brought to you by Ruger, Timney Triggers, Range Ready Studios, Savage, Franchi, CZ USA, and SnapSafe. Hornady. Um, yeah, man, there is something special about a kid providing dinner and the meals for the entire family. Because
Right,
my
and
son was
we've
the
talked
same
about
way.
that. Yeah. It was
I
always
mean,
like, hey, in fact, you probably did this too, Kevin. I like we put Tommy's name on the deer package so that we know who pulled the trigger. Taylor the
yeah.
same way, and I think there's a source of pride they have in knowing that they're providing food for the family.
Yeah. Well, and they have a greater appreciation for it for sure. Like when they, I hear my youngest son Knox, he always goes in and he says, like, this kid at school, I really don't like him that much. I'm like, oh, really? Why that? He goes, he thinks that meat's just from the store. And I'm like, well, I mean, I was like, that's probably not enough reason to just not like him just because of that. But you make a good point. I, we attempt to raise kids um to understand like, man, you can go out, you can catch and you can kill it and grill it all on your own. And you don't have to be self-sufficient, or you don't have to rely upon the grocery store to provide your meat.
Well, it's clean, it's healthy, it's organic.
It's as
Uh,
clean as it gets.
it is, and I'll be honest. Like I get about 3 or 4 of these meals a year, depending on how many deer we kill. But
Yeah.
like fresh back straps and inner
Oh,
loins, like, right off the deer, trimmed up and thrown on the
yep.
grill. Ugh. Now,
Yeah.
now we might ought to just put a disclaimer out there. If you live in an area where trichinosis is an issue, you might want to freeze it first. But
Yeah.
where we're from, we don't have that problem. But
And
and Kevin, like all of these things, hunting and fishing, it being able to share it with your kids, I don't think there's a better way to live. And not too
yeah.
long ago, um, Tommy and I came down and hunted with you. I'm sure we did a
Yeah.
podcast about that, and that
Oh,
to this
absolutely.
day is a memory we love to reminisce about. And frankly, I don't know when we're ever going to get back.
Yeah, I was fixing to say, you know what? I was fixing to go there because shame on you, Oklahoma. Shame on you for raising your prices, raising your rates, because more and more hunters were starting to figure out how good you were. And, there's kind of a running joke that I have on here that, oh, don't come to Oklahoma. There's no deer out there. But I enjoyed seeing people from out of state. I'm from out of state now. Like, and Oklahoma has this ridiculous price increase. Ridiculous.
Well, a price increase is one thing, but what they
This is
did was,
gouging.
yeah, it was monumental, and they're going to see a decline in sales because of it. And if that's the sacrifice we have to make to maintain and improve our deer herd, that whatever, shove it up your ass. Like that is
Yes.
not what should happen in especially United States. Like you guys need to work on your football team. Am I right? Like let's
Oh,
work on that right now.
oh, you kick a man when he's down. I see how it is.
No, I have a real hard time with. I have zero problem with capitalism. I have no problem with
No,
making money off of an entity and making it reasonable. But what you just did to me and to tens of thousands of other hunters that used to travel to Oklahoma, you made that unattainable. What the
unattainable. $1,700 to get your tags in Oklahoma. So
heck?
that is a $200 hunting tag. So you have to go in a hunting license. So you get your $200 hunting license. All right, I got it. Can I hunt deer in the state of Oklahoma? Well, not yet. $500 gets you your tags for your archery. 500 more dollars will get you your tags for black powder, and then 500 more dollars we'll get you your rifle tags and all that good stuff. You know, you had to buy, now that gets you your tags. So now you're out of pocket $1,700. And then you start talking about travel. Like you go to these rural places, there's not a lot of places to stay. There's no Airbnbs out in Altus, Oklahoma. I mean, you like there's there's just no good options, and they're hamstringing hunters that used to seek Oklahoma as one of the last places you could go to enjoy out of state tags at a reasonable price with the opportunity to kill a solid deer.
I think
And
Tommy and
now,
I were there and back for like 1,100 bucks.
yeah, that's two hunters. That was two hunters, and you guys left with 6 deer? Was it six or
Four.
four?
We each shot a buck, and then I think you killed a doe and Tommy killed a doe
Yeah, no, yeah, that's
or
right.
something like that. I don't whatever it was. Like you had meat. We were short because we had just moved.
Yeah.
Uh,
And
and
you
it was
guys left with
yeah.
unbelievable experience,
Yeah.
two great deer,
Let's
and
back
then
up.
two does.
Break this down again for me, just so that we know exactly how the prices fall. So,
Yeah.
as an example of an expensive tag, Iowa is an expensive non-resident tag, um, but it's also a draw. So, I would
Right.
assume what Oklahoma's doing is they're still keeping it over the counter and then
Yes.
jacking the prices way up.
Yep.
So, do that. Run that by me again, where you're talking about how the prices add up to get to 1,700. How's that
To get to
work?
1,700 bucks. So, and mind you, Oklahoma is a $2 state.
Hmm.
You can kill two with archery, or you can kill one with archery, one with muzzleloader, or archery rifle or muzzleloader rifle. So, and then you have four does you can take. And then,
That's per resident and non-resident.
yeah, I believe so. Yes. That's
Okay.
what gets you those tags. But, well, apparently now I think it's going to, like, if you buy a archery tag, you have an archery tag. Like, you don't get like the rifle, you don't get the $2, four does. I think you only get $1, one doe.
On that
But,
archery license.
but this is just for tags. So your hunting license is $200.
Hmm.
And then your archery tags are $500.
Is that
And your muzzleloader tags
does that one
are,
tag give you the buck and the doe, or do you have a tag
yes,
for each? Okay,
yes,
so you're at 700 to come to an archery hunt.
right. Then you're at, yeah, then $500 more. So that puts you at $1,200 for your muzzleloader tags. And then for your rifle tags, another $500. So if you want to really hunt Oklahoma, you want to hunt it all year long, archery, muzzleloader, and rifle, it's 1,700 bucks. And I did see somewhere that now, because of the price changes, Oklahoma is now the most expensive state in the United States to hunt whitetail deer for
Well,
non-resident hunters.
and I mean it was I think was right up there as well.
Right.
I guess it's
It,
easier to
I don't
swallow a
like it.
$700 expense, but that dude, that's still more than double what it was before.
Yeah. Like
I think
why would you do that? Like
Well,
it
probably the
uh,
first step. I think if we're going to talk about alternatives, maybe make it a draw. Maybe you need it. Maybe it's a 1 and 2 application 1 and 2 year draw where you got to have a preference point or two or something, but keep the prices affordable. Like I'm not even going to put Oklahoma on my list right now until that changes. And
and that sucks.
I bet that it does change. I think that we're not the only ones complaining about this.
Okay. All right. I pulled it up on my phone. I'm sorry, I was looking at my technology. I apologize for that.
It's
But
okay.
I want to get this right. So this might be worse than what we were talking about because I went in and you can buy an annual package. Oh, get this. You're going to love this, dude. You can buy an annual package to hunt deer archery. So it's a deer archery hunter package. That price tag is $919.
For a non-resident archery hunt in Oklahoma.
Yeah. So a
Well, what's that
non-resident
package
annual hunting
include?
license, $209. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. And then 267. Yeah. So $209. And then you have to buy your tags, which is another whatever. That's ridiculous. But yeah, that's on the Oklahoma site is $916 for your archery license.
I
Dude, that's
assume
gonna
there's
be tough. That's gonna
muzzleloader
be
and
tough
rifle
swallow.
packages there too.
Do what?
There are muzzleloader and rifle packages there too. Are the prices the same?
Muzzleloader, deer hunter muzzleloader package. Everything you need to hunt during only the muzzleloader season, $916. But if you bought the archery one,
It's absurd.
so now you don't have to have your license. So you're still gonna have to get, man, I see what they're trying to do. Like they're trying to make it easy and stuff like that, but hiking the prices up that much, dude, they are going to lose so much revenue
Yeah,
from out of state hunters. And maybe they're okay with that.
a price increase to me is a normal thing, and I would say every 10 years they're entitled to increase the price of resident and non-resident tags by, let's just say, 1 to 3%, or
Yeah.
maybe five. All right, and we'd still pay five and not really feel that. So that's fine. But let's also consider that we're in the, we're teetering on a recession. We're dealing with inflation like we've never seen before, despite what the Biden Harris administration will tell you. We are absolutely paying more for gas. We're paying more for groceries, and if you combine those two things, you're paying more for vehicle repairs or a tune-up before you take a
Yeah.
trip. So, you're not just doubling the price of your trip. You're tripling it at the least
Mm.
to make this happen. And I think that's a travesty, because if the goal is to push people out, is to scare people away, you're doing it.
Yeah.
But that's not necessarily the right thing to do. And there are other avenues to keep the state herd in check. I know that there's been some weather that's affected you guys. I'm sure there's other
Yeah.
things you can enlighten me on what's going on. But if the population's down, okay, then maybe it doesn't need to be a $2 state for residents. Maybe it
Yep.
doesn't need to be a $2 state for non-resident. Maybe non-residents need to apply. Maybe there are certain counties that are off limits to non-residents now, and residents need to apply.
Yeah.
There are other ways to get the same result without jacking the price up by three freaking times. Come on, people.
I know. I'm telling you. All right. Hey, we're going to jump in here real quick with a word from our sponsors. On the other side, hey, where do we go from here and what do we got planned? Unmatched precision with the Ruger American Gen 2. In the heart of the wilderness, precision matters. Ruger introduces the American Gen 2 rifle. Designed for hunters who demand excellence, the Ruger American Gen 2 offers enhanced accuracy, smooth bolt action, and durable design. It's the perfect companion for any hunting expedition, providing reliable performance every time you pull the trigger. Trust the Ruger American Gen 2 to deliver when it counts. Visit Ruger.com to learn more and find your next hunting rifle. What a hit. When it comes to hunting, your trigger is everything. Timney Triggers introduces the Remington 700 Hit Trigger, designed for those serious shooters. The Remington 700 Hit Trigger offers adjustable pull weight, ensuring you get the perfect customized feel you deserve. It's built for precision and reliability, so you can trust your every shot. Timney Triggers has many triggers for hunting for a bunch of different rifles out there. Discover the Remington 700 Hit and transform your hunting experience. Visit TimneyTriggers.com to explore all they got. It's time to prepare for the shot of a lifetime. Whether you're a seasoned hunter or new to the sport, preparation is key. I preach it all the time. At Range Ready Studios, we offer the training you need to make that shot of a lifetime. Chris Serino is on staff, and he has a host of instructors on hand to provide personalized trainings in state-of-the-art facilities and practical exercises that build your confidence and skills. From precision marksmanship to quick target acquisition, we've got you covered. Don't leave your success to chance. Visit rangereadystudios.com to learn more. All right, we're talking about one of my absolute favorite hunting suppressors. This one is developed for that backcountry guy. That's the Banish backcountry. So If you want to be stealthy in the field, you got to go lighter, you got to go smaller. We understand that. That's where the banished backcountry really steps up. Designed for the ultimate portability and maximum noise reduction, the banished backcountry suppressor ensures you stay quiet and undetected in the wilds. Silencer Central makes it effortless to own because it delivers right to your doorstep. This is the beauty of what Silencer Central does. They contact you, you contact them, like you get it bought, you get everything taken care of, and it one day you get a little email that says, "You know what? Your suppressor is on the way." And that's when it shows up on your door, and you can rest easy knowing that you will be quiet in the field. Hunt smarter and quieter with the banished backcountry. Visit silencercentral.com to start your journey. In the backcountry, every ounce counts. When the hunt takes you to the extremes, the Savage Ultralight Elite is built to go the distance. Featuring a carbon fiber wrapped barrel and an MDT HNT 26 stock for perfect balance. The Ultralight Elite is engineered for hunters who demand performance at the highest elevations. Precision, power, all in a rifle weighing under 6 pounds. The Savage Ultralight Elite, designed for the backcountry, built for the hunt. When precision meets innovation, you get the Franchi Momentum, a rifle built for those who demand more from their hunt. Designed for ultimate comfort with its ergonomic stock, precision barrel, and crisp trigger pull, the Franchi Momentum gives you the confidence to take that perfect shot. Hunt with momentum, the Franchi Momentum, a new force and precision. Find yours at franchiusa.com. For the reloader who demands precision, there's only one name: the RCBS Rock Chucker. Built with heavy-duty cast iron frame, the Rock Chucker delivers smooth, reliable reloading for every shot, every time. Whether you're crafting for competition or fine-tuning for the hunt, trust the press that delivers precision. RCBS Rock Chucker, because perfection isn't just a goal, it's a process. Get yours at rcbs.com and reload with confidence. All right, we're back with Thomas Allen. All right, where do we go from here? Like, so what is the great state of Oklahoma going to do? Are they moving to a draw system? I think that's where they're headed.
I think so. Let me play devil's advocate for a minute here,
Oh, yes.
and this is just simply because I grew up in Iowa. I cut my whitetail hunting teeth hunting
Mhm.
Iowa whitetails. They have a very soft place in my heart. And while I lived there, I was a part of we'll use the word coalition loosely, but a group of resident whitetail guys that would go to the Capitol and talk with state representatives on limiting and managing non-resident hunting access. And one of the things that every year it gets brought up is that non-resident landowners should be entitled to an annual tag. And our stance was no, they shouldn't. If they want resident rights, they can become a resident. So
Right.
Iowa is a very restrictive state to pull a tag in. In fact, it used to be worst case scenario 1 and 4 draw, and Kevin, we're looking at a 1 and 5 draw now.
Yeah,
When you and I draw next year, we'll have applied for 5 years.
I know.
It,
That's ridiculous.
it is ridiculous, but is it? Okay.
It's not, I
The
guess.
prices haven't really changed. So there's that, right? That's what Iowa has
Right.
going for them. You get into that knowing you're going to spend by the time you buy all your documentation, your habitat,
Mhm.
it's going to be close to $700. So that in itself is sort of comparable, but it didn't start out at $250 last year and then go to 750. Like it's been
No.
that for a very long time and has staggered up. So at the least, you're limiting non-resident
It,
influence. Okay, so
it's
this could be a part of this, Kevin. I want your opinion on this, and
all right.
let me finish the statement, and I'll shut up.
Yeah.
The non-resident influence in Iowa's wildlife is almost nilch because the non-resident landowners are non-residents, and so they don't necessarily have the option to vote or to contribute to the Iowa hunting economy, other than hunting when they get there, when they draw their tags.
Yeah.
Maybe one of the benefits to this Oklahoma thing is going to limit the number of non-resident landowners and non-resident leases, which in turn actually increases resident access. What do you think of that?
Mm. Man, I see it. I don't like it, but I see it because you go. So the hunting area that we hunted in, down in western southwestern Oklahoma.
Hmm.
So You go down there during a rifle season, and I would say the vehicles you pass, the trucks that you know are hunters, and we all drive those roads and we all see, like, we know they're a hunter. It's not a vehicle we normally see out there. Well, man, I would say 30, 30 to 40% of the trucks I pass are from Louisiana.
Hmm.
And I think that, and it's crazy to me. You'll see, rarely do you see Texas, but you'll see a couple Kansas, but a whole lot of Louisiana deer hunters out there. And I'm kind of anxious to see if that holds true because I've got some guys on a lease that I used to have that I would love to see it come back to me. I don't know. I mean, what does that do to lease prices now? Are lease prices going to start to go down? Because that would be kind of cool. I mean, because now it's like, well, we got to find someone to lease because now it's too expensive to hunt the state. When you're talking another $1,700 out of your pocket, where you're already paying for maybe 640 acres, which I know this lease is going for, which is why I can't afford it. I'd have to have a lot of people go in with me. It's $9,000 for
Hmm.
640 acres, but it's the right 640 acres.
Yeah,
So then
I
you're
think
talking
that,
about 10 grand a year.
but for those people, like
It's a mortgage.
$1,700 isn't much, right? The folks that are affording those types of leases, I think that, and maybe
And
17
maybe
is, I don't know.
I could see that, but man, like when you're talking guys that okay, here's a great example. I have a buddy, Todd Benura of Maniacal Arms. Like he got a lease in Kansas. He finally got one, and like it's a prime lease. It's great. Well, guess what happened to him this year? He didn't draw.
Mm. So
So
there's your
now he's
lease money
sitting on
out
a
the
lease
window.
that he can't even hunt.
Yeah.
So
Well,
is that the way Oklahoma's going? And now all
uh,
of a sudden people come in and if lease prices go down, they lease up a bunch of land and then just hope for the draw.
I mean,
Happens in
that's a potential destination as well. I have a hard time with that level of increase being, a couple
yeah.
100%. Not to mention bad timing. You know what keeps me sane in a poor political climate or when we're dealing with knuckleheads running our country is going to the tree stand or being in the
Yeah.
woods. So I would like that not to be affected by this administration's inflicted inflation. They did it on purpose. I don't.
Yep.
I would much prefer have that as my out, but instead, I think that the state of Oklahoma said, "Hey, we're going to get our piece of the pie. We're going to jack prices up because people are going to pay anyways." And I hope as a result that people don't go for a couple of years and they have to change the law. And I know they're getting heat. I see it online. There's
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of people pissed about it. So
Oh, a lot of people
maybe
pissed
they'll
about it.
listen. But
You
again,
know,
Kevin, you also don't want your resource pillaged by non-residents. I think that
right.
there needs to be some management. Here's an example. I love my wife. My wife is puts up with a whole lot of crap, all
Yes,
right?
she does.
But when she gets in the car, if it's too cold or too hot, that knob gets turned the whole way. The opposite. It gets shut off or it gets turned all the way on. There's no right down the middle. And that's what Oklahoma needs to do. Instead of going full Monty, most expensive tag in the country, how about we
Yeah.
just test the waters on a draw or test the
Yeah.
waters on a restriction on the number of bucks people can kill? Instead, they just went air conditioned on full fledged, right? Like, come on, find a happy medium.
Oh, that's funny you say that because it's a great analogy, man. But you know who really hurts most out of everybody is me. I hurt the most because I'm the idiot who was living in Oklahoma, decides to move to Louisiana, and before he left the state of Oklahoma, did not get his kids lifetime hunting licenses. So guess who's going to be the guy footing the bill on this because his kids love hunting?
Yeah.
This guy.
But that's money well spent. It's going to hurt.
It is.
And here the other side of that too is you got to check yourself when you go because if you don't fill a tag, naturally it's going to hurt that much more knowing you dropped 5 grand on three hunts. So, and I know that you will. You're not a overreactor like I am.
No, no,
Um,
not at all.
but but
Jeez.
but truth be told, like you have a lot more on the line now, and
Yeah.
frankly, that ought not apply to a youth. I think that if you really want to get down to separating out what's fair, uh, I I'm down with I okay, what do we spend before? 300. I feel like 330 was about what we spent on
Yeah, I think
attendance
that's
before.
about what it was.
I feel like a bump to 400 not only would increase a tremendous amount of revenue, bump to 400, limit it to $1.
Yeah,
You've
man,
accomplished the same thing.
I would totally be on board with that. But see, here's the deal: is that when you start to do draws, you've got to figure out some type of formula where it's not a 1 in 5 or a 1 in 7 or whatever it is. I mean, man, if you're one every 2 years, you get a draw every 1 to 2 years. I mean, max 3 years during rifle, maybe. That's what I feel like you're doing because what happens is, and it's not. I hate to advertise stuff, but it's relevant to the topic. Is take the Wichita Mountain elk hunt for example. It's a lifetime, like once in a lifetime draw. Like so if you draw once, you're done for life. Well, like you go out there and you watch these people go through and it like when I was there, man, like the average age of person was like 57 and higher because these guys have been putting in for years and years and years, never getting drawn ever. And then finally they hit old age and they finally have enough points to finally draw and they can barely make it up the mountain.
Right. And it's that's the case I think with a lot of the states that have other big game opportunities and once in a lifetime draws. You just run the risk of not drawing. And
Yeah.
you know, I have a buddy that put in for 2 years, 2 or 3 years for the North Dakota moose hunt, and he drew on his third try. And then there's other guys that are 60 years old every year and never drawn. So I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, and I'll be honest here in this podcast. Like I have not read the fine print. I was not in the meetings, the Oklahoma Game and Fish Department or DNR, whatever
Right.
they. I'm not. I wasn't in those meetings, but I know the end result was probably I think it was created because of lack of experience. It was created
Yeah.
because they feel like they need to manage something better, and they probably do. I don't know that. I think they picked the lesser of two evils, meaning they didn't affect the resident hunters,
Right.
so they aren't going to hear from their constituents. They affected the non-resident hunters that don't have a say in the elections. So, if you think about it for a second, if the state of Oklahoma were to go to $1, there'd probably be a protest somewhere.
Yeah.
There'd be enough people complaining about that. But here in Minnesota, that's what we got. We get $1 in Minnesota as a resident, whether that's an archery, muzzleloader, rifle, shotgun, whatever season that you go, you're only allowed $1.
Yeah.
Well, I don't love that, but if that's the game we're going to play by, then that's how you do it. So
I will tell you this much. If they went to a $1 system, the telepoach system will be in full effect. 100%.
well, there's going to be okay. So back in the day when Iowa implemented the register your harvest program, there was a tremendous amount of blowback. I'm not giving the government more information than they need. Too much Big Brother, blah
They
blah blah
already got
blah.
everything. Trust me.
Yeah, so it's like there's going to be a temporary blowback of disobedience, and I think that's the case with any type of game and fish regulation. It would be permanent for me if they banned cell cameras. I'd be an outlaw and probably locked up somewhere. But the reality is, it would eventually take hold, and the state's herd would benefit because of that.
Yeah.
So, and Kevin, there are probably numbers of Oklahoma hunters that know the details and say this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and that might be the case. But what I
It
do
might
know,
be.
but what I do know is further regulation that impacts one side is going to have a negative impact on the overall revenue. If it's a little bit
Yeah.
more spread out, a little bit more well thought out, a little bit softer, if you will, then I think that more money is to be had by bumping it up to
Yep.
$400, and every individual that lives in or travels to Oklahoma to hunt is allowed $1. And I
Yep.
think problem solved.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with $1 state. Like it makes you shoot the exact one you want to go after. So I'm all for it.
Hey, all right,
So
I'm going to tie everything together here. I just thought of this. You ready? Stand by.
yes.
So we talked last week about forward-facing sonar and
Uh-huh.
trail cameras, and that the work of the older generation paved the way to that success, right?
Right.
And that needs to be a tip of the hat, needs to be a nod. You need to understand that people came before you that laid the groundwork to make you more successful on the water or in the woods.
Right.
Well, I think the deer herds across the country um, are in a similar situation that we've gotten better at harvesting deer. There's more information out there than ever
Yep.
before. And I bet you'd agree that the good old days of deer hunting, at least in Iowa, were in the early 2000s. We'll say 99 through
Oh
2009.
yeah.
Those were some of the best years Iowa ever put out.
Yep.
Now, year over year, top end trophy output has increased because there's more smart hunters. There's more hunters willing
Right.
to pass those 170-inch 4 year olds because they see the potential of the following year. I'm not that guy.
I
but
wouldn't be that guy either. I'm sorry.
but I
Not
think
happening.
I think we've reached the peak in deer hunting almost, or we're close to the pinnacle of what is going to be available for everybody. That
Yeah.
social media has put the pressure on somebody to shoot a deer so they can post something to brag. And I think that a lot of these people aren't necessarily to the point of being a landowner where they have a leg to stand on management statewide. So people travel, they hunt public
Yeah.
access. It's going on in Kansas too, where you've got a lot of this walking area. There's a lot of opportunity to hunt, but I think that harvest rates have impacted deer numbers more than anything else. And we've
Yeah.
been living in this comfortable chasm of two bucks and multiple does. And that's going to have a long-term impact. Or if you're hammered with a terrible ice storm or a rough winter, that's going
Ugh.
to compound that situation when really we should be looking at tag sales. We should be looking at deer registration.
Yeah.
Pull back on that a little bit. I think that's probably here in Minnesota, we got a whole other problem, and we should touch on it briefly. But here in Minnesota, wolves are being deemed the worst thing to ever happen to Minnesota's deer hunting. They are a
So,
bad thing, and I'm in full
right.
support to shoot them all. We've talked about this,
Yeah.
but we need to pull back harvest numbers. We need to restrict hunters a little bit more because if you say kill them all for a long period of time, that's what they're going to do.
Oh yeah.
It sometimes it's hard to move away from that, but
Well, it happened to the
restricted.
American buffalo.
You're absolutely right. So maybe we take a step back, think about what we need,
Reevaluate.
reevaluate tag numbers and tag availability, and maybe that's where the problem is.
Yeah, it might
I'm
be.
just saying.
I don't know, but I'll just tell you this much. Oklahoma, go home. You're drunk. That's it. Like you're wasted.
Dude,
Stop.
I was hoping so bad they were going to school Texas this last weekend. I know this is not we're a couple weeks beyond that by the time we listen to this, but
Oh,
man,
yeah, it
they
makes
are
two of
not
us, man.
they're
That
not the
makes that,
powerhouse they used to be.
dude. I don't know what's going on. I can tell you this much. It really hurts to see it. It hurts. It hurts. It hurts deep inside. But you know what? I don't have to worry about it anymore. Like I don't have to worry about it in the deer stand going, oh, I hope they win this week. I don't care. Like, don't care. Win, lose. I don't, it doesn't matter to me. Like it has no play on my mood anymore, on my hunt. Like I get to
Well,
live a stress-free life because they suck.
it's not been that way in my house.
Oh gosh.
My son, we had to sit down, had to talk a little bit about letting things affect us that we cannot change, and that Vanderbilt game against Alabama, like he blew a gasket. I mean, I think he might have pulled a hammy stomping
Oh
around
my
there.
gosh. Dude,
Uh,
like you're not a part of the team. Like
all
it's
right.
not we. It's
But he
they.
says we, and I've been caught doing that myself. But you know what? I'm going to find a funny segue here.
Okay.
This is what our problem is. This is cultural. It's deeper than deer hunting. It's deeper than football. But the
Uh-oh.
NIL thing that's going on within college football, I think, is decaying the quality of college football. And
Absolutely it
I
is.
think long term, we're going to see negative ramifications where it's just become another pro sport.
Yep.
And
It's minor leagues.
but the same thing's going on in hunting. You have social media that prevent or provides a platform for you to be somebody. And the bigger deer you kill, the more somebody you are. The more turkeys or ducks you pile up, the more somebody you are. The better tournament finishes you have, the more
Man.
somebody you're going to be. And I think it all comes from entitlement that our culture has breeded into us that we are all equal. And Kevin, by
Yeah,
God, we're not. And
we're
that's what
not.
makes it great is that we
Yep.
have the opportunity to be individuals and be as good as we can possibly be and get rewarded for being as good as we can achieve. But I don't want,
Yeah.
I would never want to be the kind of guy that takes from that guy because I'm jealous of what he's got on a
No,
wall. I'd rather
absolutely not.
celebrate his success, learn from him, and build my own.
Unless it's Vanderbilt, right?
Roll Tide. And they
I knew
carried
it.
those goalposts 4 miles down the road.
Oh. All right. Thomas Allen, folks. Like, always love having you on, man. I sure do
Thanks, my
appreciate it.
friend. It's always fun. I appreciate you letting me rant. I feel
All
better
right.
now.
All right. Gun Talk Hunters, that is it for this episode of Gun Talk Hunt. As always, more important than ever, keep those muzzles pointing in a safe direction and always be on the hunt.